This is a pulse oximeter training video. Pulse oximetry is a simple, non-invasive method of monitoring the percentage of hemoglobin which is saturated with oxygen. It is measured by a monitor which analyzes the physiological signal that is captured from a probe. Incorrect use or placement of pulse oximeter probes can cause harm to patients. For example, if a probe is intended for a finger but is attached to an ear or vice versa, it can produce a reading of up to 50% lower or 30% higher than the real value. This is also the case if the incorrect weight sensor is used on the wrong type of patient, as the weight ranges of the sensors are due to the spacing of the LED sources and detector. The Nellcor Oximax sensors provide clinicians with accurate information, allowing clinicians to make accurate, informed decisions for their patients. There is no one-sensor-fits-all solution, but there is a Nellcor Oximax sensor for every type of patient. SpO2 is calculated by measuring the absorption of light from an LED source, which passes through the nail bed and is then received by a photodetector. It is therefore important that the photodetector is placed directly opposite the LED to ensure optimal readings. Check the sensor site regularly for skin integrity and to ensure the sensor is not too tight, otherwise it will cause venous pulsation, which will give inaccurate readings. Let's take a look at correct sensor application, starting with the Nellcor reusable sensors, which are designed for spot check and short-term use. To correctly apply the DS100A on patients over 40 kilograms, place an index finger over the sensor window with the fingertip against the finger stop. Longer fingernails may affect correct placement of the sensor. Check position of the sensor. If an index finger cannot be positioned correctly or is unavailable, a smaller finger can be used. This applies across the range of finger sensors. Do not use the DS100A on a thumb or toe, as this will lead to inaccurate SpO2 readings. Do not use on patients below 40 kilograms. Ensure that the cable is positioned along the top of the hand. Then plug the DS100A into the oximeter. This sensor should be resighted up to every 4 hours, as it is not built for continuous monitoring. For continuous monitoring, please refer to the FlexMax or single patient use sensors. The DYS reusable sensor is a multi-site sensor that can be used across all patient ages and weights when using the correct attachment. To convert the DYS for use as an ear sensor, you will require the DYSE clip attachment, which is sold separately. Slide one of the DYS sensor buttons along the ear clip slot until the sensor pad is fully engaged in the clip. Then slide the second DYS sensor button along the other ear clip slot until the second sensor pad is fully engaged in its side of the clip. Ensure that the DYS sensor pads containing the optical components are opposite one another to ensure optimal light transfer. The sensor is now ready to be applied to the patient. The correct placement for an ear probe is at Site A, earlobe, or Site B, pinna, for patients weighing 30 kilograms or more. The robust new FlexMax reusable sensor can be used for continuous monitoring and requires resitting up to every 6 hours. FlexMax comes in adult and pediatric sizes for patients over 20 kilograms. The correct application of the FlexMax sensor is to insert the patient's finger into the sensor. The finger is correctly inserted when the tip of the finger touches the sensor's inside end, and when the sensor cable extends along the top of the patient's hand. This sensor is ideal for patients with motion, as the sensor will not easily misalign. Let's take a look at the long-term, single patient use sensors, which can be used for up to 8 hours before needing to be resighted, starting with the Max N sensor. To correctly apply the Max N for adults over 40 kilograms, as with all the finger sensors, the preferred site is an index finger. By ensuring that the cable is at the top of the hand and the optical components are directly opposite one another, wrap the sensor around the site. Do not stretch the tape and do not attach any additional tape, as this may cause venous pulsation. Anchor the cable to the top of the hand with a piece of medical-grade tape if required. The enclosed clear double-sided adhesive dots can be applied over the light source and photodetector to restore adhesive quality and extend the life of the sensor. Place a transparent dot over each window as shown. Then remove the protective paper that covers each dot and reapply to the same patient. Do not remove the sticky dots when the adhesive goes, as this will damage the optical windows. Simply apply another pair of sticky dots over the top of the previous ones. Do not have more than 3 sticky dots on each window, as this will interfere with the transfer of light. Alternatively, the Max-N sensor can be used on a neonate's foot, as seen here, or the palm of a neonate's hand. Do not place sensor on the wrist or ankles. Position the sensor so the dashed line is centered on the lateral edge of the foot or hand. Ensure the cable runs along the sole of the foot. Wrap the sensor around the site without stretching the tape, so the optical components directly oppose each other. Anchor the cable with a piece of medical-grade tape. Resight sensor every 8 hours. To correctly apply the Max-I for 3 to 20 kg patients, select a sensor site. The preferred site is the big toe, with the cable running along the sole of the foot. Alternatively, apply the sensor to a thumb or other finger. Position the sensor so the dashed line is centered on the lateral edge of the big toe, thumb or finger. Wrap the sensor around the site without stretching the tape, so the optical components directly oppose each other. Anchor the cable with a piece of medical-grade tape. To correctly apply the Max-A or Max-P sensors, an index finger is the preferred sensor site. Locate the window and alignment marks. Orient the sensor so the dashed line is centered at the tip of the finger and the windows oppose each other. Apply the non-cable half of the sensor to the bottom of the finger and wrap the adhesive flaps around the sides of the finger. Fold the cable end of the sensor over the top of the finger. Wrap the adhesive flaps around the sides of the finger. Anchor the sensor cable with a piece of medical-grade tape. When timing for your patient is critical and you need accurate data quickly, or if your patient is peripherally shut down and you cannot obtain readings from the finger or ear sites, MaxFast is your sensor. The MaxFast is placed just above the left eye or right eyebrow. The site will provide instant, accurate readings, as readings are obtained from the internal carotid artery, the same source that supplies blood to the eyes and brain. Before applying the MaxFast, clean the sensor site with an alcohol wipe to remove skin oils, then remove the paper backing to expose the first of 4 adhesive layers. The sensor is now ready to apply. If required, the sensor cable can be secured to the patient's clothing or other material by using the clip located in the cable. Apply the headband per instructions to maintain proper sensor position and to help prevent venous pulsation at the sensor site. When your patients with fragile skin need pulse oximetry monitoring, Nellcore non-adhesive sensors provide a convenient alternative to adhesive sensors. Nellcore OxyMax, market-leading SpO2 technology, has 3 guiding principles. The cardiac signal, or incoming pulse, is key to mitigating other signal interference and achieving accurate and reliable readings. Nellcore OxyMax therefore focuses on the true cardiac signal to obtain the true arterial saturation. Nellcore OxyMax uses a digital technology to provide clinicians with highly accurate SpO2 readings to ensure correct clinical decisions are made. A digital chip is located within each sensor hub and contains the OxyMax technology and the sensor calibration specific to the sensor weight recommendation. The outside cable shield, the detector cable, and the Faraday shield at the detector shield and protect from electromagnetic waves, which can interfere with accurate readings. The opaque layer of Max-A and Max-P protect from ambient light, which also ensures accurate SpO2 measurements. Sensors that are not legitimate Nellcore OxyMax sensors are not validated for use on Nellcore monitoring, and therefore may put the patient at risk, in particular the infant and neonatal patients, and patients with low saturation. Features that affect sensor performance include sensor calibration, optical signal strength, shielding against ambient light, electronic noise, and crosstalk. Sensors claiming to be Nellcore compatible may not have all three features, which may put the patient at risk of harm, and therefore are not validated by Nellcore for use in these systems. For further information about the Nellcore Oximax sensors, visit the Medtronic Nellcore website at this web address.